I think the more I think about it, the more I am intrigued about the Live Tour guys. Because doesn't it feel like every major, they don't get nearly enough credit because the visibility just isn't there. So I'm thinking that there's a guy from the Live Tour that's going to make a run here. I think the question is, who do you choose? It almost feels like there are more big names on the Live Tour than there are the PGA Tour now. And how much does this take away from Scottie Scheffler's dominance on the PGA Tour? Because right now, Scottie Scheffler looks almost unbeatable. He has outright wins in 2 of his last 3. But the more I think about it is, if these guys from the Live Tour were on the PGA Tour currently, do we think Scottie Scheffler would be just as dominant? And so, as somebody who was saying, oh, just put some money on Scottie Scheffler to win it all, should I be backtracking in that statement?
No, because here's the thing. It would be different if golf were a head-to-head sport. Do you know what I mean? Like football or something like that, where someone's trying to prevent you from playing your game or running a route, whatever it may be. But Scottie Scheffler, there's a reason why he has and still is on track. Tiger has the all-time record for rounds at or under par, and Scottie Scheffler is still chasing that record, even though his rounds under par record just came to an end because, he shot par instead of under par. Do you know what I mean? So he has had a level of consistency in the way that he has played the game that we have rarely seen ever. And that's independent of anyone else. It's like, you want to go low? Okay, you got to catch Scottie. He's the one going lower than everyone else. So in maybe a normal world, yes, I would agree. But Scottie is playing at a level right now that is just so unfathomable that I don't think I agree. Normally I would, but at this point with the way he's playing, I think I would disagree.
Maybe at this juncture in time, but I think people forget Jon Rahm spent 52 consecutive weeks at world number 1. There are golfers on the Live Tour that were incredibly good when they were on the PGA Tour. Dustin Johnson, when he was playing at his best, was dialed in and absolutely dominant. So I think that Scottie Scheffler is still playing really well, but I do think it's not fair to say that, like, he would still be dominating everybody, even if these guys were on the PGA Tour, because there's some really good golfers on the Live Tour right now. And we'll see it this weekend. You know, these guys are in this tournament because they've either won majors or they've won at Augusta. DJ, a former Masters champ. We know that Jon Rahm has worn the green jacket just last season. So I don't know. I think we kind of disagree there.
We've been talking a lot about Scottie Scheffler and his personality, but let's talk about his golf game. And right now, we've seen him go from open up at 9-1, go all the way down to 4-1 as an outright winner, drop back to 5-1. Is there any value on Scottie at all? And forget about outrights, because I know you like Xander, but is there any way to get any value on Scottie at all? Because we know he's going to be in the mix.
Yeah, I think it's a top 5, and that's really it. And even then, you're laying a little bit of juice, minus 120 for Scottie Scheffler over at BetMGM. So I think that's the only logical way to bet him this week. Maybe a matchup or two, but then again, it's going to be a juicy situation. So listen, Scottie Scheffler has bucked every trend for me as far as regression to the mean in golf is concerned. He just keeps going, and his ball striking numbers, I don't want to say Tiger-esque yet, but they're getting there. And then, yeah, you mentioned the really short outright number. I mean, that's just silly. I can't do it. I can't go there. I mean, Tiger Woods in 2013 was plus 350, 2009 plus 220, 2006 plus 200. Even Tiger at those numbers didn't win. He was T4, T6, T3, so no value whatsoever in the outright market. If I were to place a bet on Scottie, top 5, that's it for me.
Okay, so I love the Masters, obviously, because it's the Masters, but also because we have some live guys that are now back in the fold. And these are guys that have done well at majors and even won some of the Masters. Who's a guy on the Live Tour that you have your eye on this week?
Listen, I'm fading most of them. I mean, you look at the strokes gained data for a lot of these guys, not that great. The one guy who's playing fantastically right now is Joaquin Niemann. If you want to give a Scottie Scheffler comparison to a live golfer, it's Niemann. His strokes gained data is fantastic, playing better than Jon Rahm even. Here's the kicker with Joaquin. You look at his last 10 major starts, his best finish, a top 15. That's it. No other top 20s in a major. So that's concerning. If I were to pick somebody gun to my head, I think it's going to be Jon Rahm as far as performing well here this week. I do think he finishes inside the top 10. One of the most recent PGA Tour leavers, if you will, to live. So, you factor in Garcia and DeChambeau, who are playing well on live, even Brooks a little bit. Listen, they don't play enough. They play against weaker competition for 54 holes, not as often as the PGA Tour, and you have to wonder if rust is going to be a factor. It wasn't for a lot of guys on live last year, but now we've got 2 years worth of live play, which is not to the degree of the PGA Tour as we know. So for the most part, I'm off live guys. You could bet on top live player over at BetMGM. I would probably go with Jon Rahm in that scenario.
Munaf, how much trouble are the Bucks in? Because I know you mentioned Giannis and the injury from last season, but even when relatively healthy this season, they've been inconsistent, I think, at best.
It makes me nervous, and if you are a Bucks fan, that Doc Rivers is your head coach. And I think that he is the most overrated head coach in NBA history. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. He's had one NBA title, which was back in 2008, where he had 3 future Hall of Famers, or Hall of Famers saying Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, right? But what has he really accomplished? I mean, we've seen when he was with the Clippers, he blew multiple 3-1 leads, didn't have any success with the Philadelphia 76ers before they let him go last season. And eventually the Sixers traded James Harden as well. And now, again, the calf injury to Giannis that's going to keep him out anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, we'll see if they get him ready for round 1, but how effective is he also going to be for the Milwaukee Bucks? So if I'm a Milwaukee Bucks fan or a future ticket holder of the Milwaukee Bucks, I'm very, very nervous right now. I can 100 possibly see that this team is eliminated in the first round. I just don't think that, again, this Bucks team led by Doc Rivers and all the injury concerns that they have had throughout the season, with Giannis now, with Chris Middleton being out of the lineup, Dame has been in and out as well. So I'm very concerned right now from the Milwaukee Bucks.
All right, let's switch gears to the Western Conference. It feels like there's been more parity in the West, at least when it comes to the top overall seed. We've had like a 3-horse race down the stretch for most of the season with the Nuggets, the T-Wolves, and the Thunder. Of course, we saw the Nuggets take care of business against the T-Wolves last night. Do you think the Nuggets still are the team to beat? Like, of course, when they're firing on all cylinders, Nikola Jokic looks unstoppable, but there's some young talent in the West. Do you think the Nuggets still have a firm grip on the team to beat?
It's boring, but I think, I think the Western Conference still runs through the Denver Nuggets. You could put out a flaw for every single team in that Western Conference, right? I mean, OKC, they're a young team. They don't really have that playoff experience. They like a true front court depth. The Clippers, another team that you're one play away from either losing Kawhi Leonard for the series or even Paul George. But they've been playing great basketball as of late. Minnesota, you're getting Karl Anthony Towns back. How long is it going to take for him to kind of shake off the rust? Phoenix, we've seen their inconsistencies as well. I mean, just the other night, they had 4 points through about 10 minutes of that first quarter against the Clippers. I think the one team that does intrigue me a little bit is going to be the Dallas Mavericks, because they finally went out and made the right moves to really bolster and add depth to that roster, especially in the front court, right? They acquired PJ Washington. They got Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively II, who they drafted in the first round last year. He's going to be missing the rest of the season. So now there's a lot more pressure on Daniel Gafford, who they went out and made the right moves now. But we talk about Denver, obviously being the defending world champions. 1 through 5, their starting lineup, I think it's the most complete starting lineup in the Western Conference. And I know it's a little boring to talk about, but you have a former MVP and more than likely the MVP of this season, Nikola Jokic. Jamal Murray is back and healthy again. You have a great wing player in KCP. Aaron Gordon has been fantastic. And then Michael Porter Jr. is a guy that on any given night could look like he's throwing a ball into the ocean and just going to get hot from three-point land. So, and they have a great head coach in Mike Malone that I really believe in as well. So I think the Western Conference still does run through the Denver Nuggets. At minimum, I would be shocked if they're not in the Western Conference Finals this year.